Bill McGrath, McGrath.
Can you just run us through, first of all, what happened last night?
So yesterday at about 8:02 p.m., we received a 911 call for a possible drowning at 10 Hillside Ave in Wrentham. Both Bellingham, because of its proximity to Bellingham Rescue Fire sent a rescue immediately, and our officers also responded immediately. When we arrived, CPR was in progress by family members. We then took over CPR, one of our officers and the Bellingham firefighters. The child, Angelo Nicolo, was transported to Landmark Hospital with one of our officers on board and the Bellingham firefighters, where he was pronounced deceased from the drowning.
And just to add another detailer, if you could, it sounds like there were a lot of people around at the time.
It was a family gathering, and this is consistent with other drownings of similar nature where it only takes a few seconds for a curious little child to take advantage of that opening when the pool is unattended and everyone else is somewhat distracted. You have to put yourself into the mind of a little kid. He sees everyone having fun all day long in that pool. He associates that pool with fun. But every time he tries to get to it, because he's so little, adults get in his way, and they tell him, no, you have to wait. But they don't associate, the little kid doesn't associate the danger. And as I said, this repeats itself, and it's my firm belief that they're intelligent and they see the opening and their curiosity is overwhelming and they get up there and then tragedy happens. Right now, our community is devastated by this loss, and people, the outpouring right now is over the top. The family is completely devastated. He has 6 siblings at home, all young, and they all fully understand what's happened here, and they're just trying to deal with it along with the grandparents who are home.
Initially, we were told that the child wasn't in the water that long before his family found him. Do you know how long that was?
I don't know how long exactly, but it wasn't very long that he was out of the eyes of someone. I believe it was about 10 minutes tops that they could narrow it down to. You have to remember there was a lot of little kids playing. They were running around. The pool was some distance from the area where most of them were congregating and barbecuing. But it was just a good, clean, friendly family event, and somehow he found his way into that pool. It was an above-ground pool, so not immediately at eye level to the people in the yard and so forth. So once he was in the pool, he would have been difficult to see.
Chief, you said you spent some time with the family last night?
I did last night. I actually responded to the incident and was there with the other officers. We stayed with the family until early this morning, probably about 1 or 2 a.m. And I went back today to, just on behalf of the community, to see if there's anything we could do, anything we could offer, knowing probably there wasn't much we could do or offer. And they're just very grateful for everything they're hearing and seeing in terms of support, but also completely devastated. And we'll continue, both as a police department and a fire department, to support them, as I'm sure Bellingham will too. And I have to say thank you to Bellingham. The guys that responded from the fire rescue it was a heroic effort to save this child. They just didn't stop, nor did our officer Heron, who was in the back of the rescue and did his best to take care of, to try to save Angelo.
Chief, I know you spent a good amount of time with the family. Was there anything that they wanted to share about their little boy?
I think what everyone wants to share, especially when they lose a child, the mom said over and over again, he never had a bad day. He's too young to have had a bad day, and he's a saint now. She said over and over again, he's a saint now, and that's all she can focus on, is that she's praying. He's praying, as she said, he's praying for them now. Not so much they're praying for him.
Last thing I have is just if there's any message to be taken from this. This has been a very devastating spring all around this Commonwealth, certainly Eastern Mass, whether it's lakes, rivers, ponds.
It has
Your
been.
brothers in blue as well. And I mean, really, when you think about what's going on, is there any message we can kind of impart to people about not having this happen again?
I mean, I've said it before. I've been to these before, as officers on this department have, and officers and firefighters all across the state, all across the country. These things, no one thinks it can happen to them. And that's why no one's judgmental, because every time this happens, we all just look and say, that could be me. Because who hasn't lost track of their little one for 10 seconds, 30 seconds, a minute, and then found them behind the couch or under the porch or behind a tree? And for all of us, it truly is a case of there, but for the grace of God go I. And all I can say is, you know, I said this many years ago when we had a very similar drowning here. If you have a pool in your backyard, treat it like it's a fire pit that's raging or a bonfire that's raging, and you have to watch it every second. You have to protect it, and you wouldn't let your child near it. And pools, though they're everything about them is fun, and that's the attraction. And every little kid is going to look for that opening. That's the key, I think, is they're looking for the opening. And as soon as the adults aren't looking, they're smart, they're intelligent, they're curious, and they're gonna grab that split second that you look down or you walk the other way, and they're gonna take it, and unfortunately, it ends in tragedy.
Thank you, Chief.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much for being so generous with your time.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
Especially today.